Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Potsie Chronicles. And we are now on Season 1, Episode 8. And boy, I gotta tell you, this was a dirty one.
Yeah, and I will just say this. I always thought that the 50s was supposed to be this fun, carefree time, you know what I mean? Where everybody's like, I guess, clean. I don't know if that's the right word, but not like, let's just say this. Episode 1 was all the way. I think you know where we're going with this. There was also the submarine races, which was basically code for them going and making out. I guess could technically be, clean fun, perhaps, Then episode 3, we have a stag party with underage drinking and a lady jumps out of a cake. Then episode 6, the deadly dares. I guess you could say assaulting a waitress. I feel like I'm missing more, but yeah, we're into...
I feel like... Now, here's the thing, right? Like, episode 7, I don't really think much really happened except for Joni talking about the birds and the bees.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's every episode, but I guess what I'm trying to say is we're 7 episodes in. We're not talking about 8 yet. We're getting there. And we already have, 3 episodes of very kind of questionable, not good, clean fun of the 50s things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like almost 50%. And it might even be over 50%. That's just all I remember now. So that's 3 out of 7. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to say is like, I would have thought the number would have been closer to 0 of like these types of things on a family show from the 70s that took place in the 50s.
Now, we're gonna get there.
Yes.
But I feel like this episode was like the worst of the worst. I enjoyed the episode.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying like the worst of the worst, meaning like it is probably, if you were to show like any of the Happy Days episodes that we watched to a 9-year-old, this would be the worst one to show to a 9-year-old.
So you're not talking about worst like you didn't enjoy it. You were talking about this is the worst that you'd want to show to perhaps a small child.
Yes.
You know what? I'm going to agree. I do feel it was hard to top all the way, but they did it. So I am going to agree with you. Yes.
You said it wrong. It's all the way.
Oh, all the way. Did I say it right that time?
Yeah, you said it there.
Okay. All the way. Yes. They topped it. So before we jump into it, here's a game that we like to play where we look at the title of the episode and my son thinks about it before we watch it. Now, again, he has seen it, but I do have him think for a couple of minutes what he thinks looking at the title it's going to be about. Now, the title is called The Skin Game, and I'm going to tell you this. Last week, Fonzie drops in. I thought it was something different. This time, I thought it was exactly what it was, The Skin Game. How about you? What did you think?
Man, it looks like we swapped roles because I did not think it would be anything like that. What I thought it would be is I tried to think of something. I was thinking maybe like they'd play tic-tac-toe with like some Sharpies or whatever on their skin anywhere or everywhere or whatnot. Or like any other games, where you draw like Hangman or whatnot. So yeah.
Okay, well, was completely different than what we saw. And again, pretty good for the alternative Happy Days episodes, I think. Even though this is the 8th episode, we're probably up to like 50 alternative Happy Days episodes. So really, if there's a streaming service network, big-time Hollywood producer that wants to do a Happy Days reboot, we already have 50 ideas, and we're literally on episode 8. So,
My favorite alternative one that we've come up with so far is probably the Scream X Happy Days.
Yeah, well, that would be the feature film.
Yeah,
so
good point.
We can do both feature films, TV series. So yes, but no, I agree with you. I think that's the best too. That has got to be $1 billion. You think that would beat Avatar? Is Avatar the #1 movie ever?
Wait,
far as
ever?
Box office? I mean box office, not quality. I mean, I can't really say I haven't seen it, but between you, me, and anyone listening, it didn't really hold any interest that I would ever want to see out of it.
I saw the second one, and that was...
What did you think of that?
I did not really like that. I mean, for me, it was kind of hard to tell, like, what was going on. I mean, maybe I should have seen the first one, but it was not my favorite.
In reality, you should be able to see a sequel and not have to see, like, the first one. Like, I bet if you saw Scream 2 which I did, you wouldn't really need to see Scream 1, you know?
Yeah.
Well, or I guess it would be Scream. I know some people, like, they always say Scream 1 when it's really Scream, but you can see that because there is a Scream 2, and if you just say Scream, people might say, well, which one? Especially now that there's, 7 Screams?
Yeah.
But Avatar, yeah, well, that already doesn't sound good if you have no idea what's happening just by seeing the second one. So
I would say it's like a 2 stars at best.
out of how many?
Out of 5. Or maybe,
Oh,
no. Out of 10. I'm going to
2
go.
out of 10. Oh, that's something completely different. 2 out of 5.
Or
2 out
maybe
of 10.
3 at best.
3 out of 10?
Yeah.
That's still pretty low.
At best.
It just never really helped. I know we're talking about Avatar here, but that's fine. Avatar, didn't really know what it was about by it, and it really didn't hold any interest to me, as I said before. So it sounds like I'm not missing much. You saw the second one. Maybe the first one was better, although I don't see what the difference is.
I think they came out with the third one last year, and then they're coming out with a fourth one, like, in the coming years. And let me just say this, right?
Yeah.
If the fourth one has Happy Days, that's an instant 10. Because,
Yeah.
like, that's really anything. If you need your franchise or whatever to be saved, just bring Happy Days.
Yes, I agree. A Happy Days X Avatar. You could really plug Happy Days into any universe and it would be an automatic great thing. Avatar. So wait, there were 3. Now there's 4. I thought there were like 10 avatars. There's only 3 right now.
Yeah.
The first one was made like 20, maybe not 20, but a long time ago, I feel like. Now, isn't the whole thing that, like, they're blue? Are they all blue in Avatar?
Yeah. I think they're, like, kind of in the wild and stuff, and they're, like,
Yeah.
fighting each other and whatnot.
And they're all blue. But you know what would be really good is, like, you probably have no idea what I'm about to talk about here, but there was something, it was like I don't know if it was Broadway or off Broadway. It might have been off Broadway, then it was Broadway. There was something called the Blue Man Group.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Oh, you know? Oh,
yeah.
okay. Well, I don't need to explain it then. So what if they did like the Blue Man Group and wait a minute. What if they did the Blue Man Group and Happy Days in Avatar? Like there was a warring faction of the Blue Man Group. And we circle back because Tobias Funke in Arrested Development, created by Ron Howard, who is, of course, Richie Cunningham, tried out for the Blue Man Group, or he did something where it was the Blue Man Group.
Could you just imagine just, like, the fawns going, "Ay!" in the forest?
That would be great. Yeah, maybe like...
And he's with the orangutan?
Yeah, we do need to have the orangutan or orangutan. By the way, I did look up on YouTube the correct pronunciation, and it said you could say orangutan or orangutan. So I guess Joaquin Phoenix was in the right. I still feel like he was trying to get the Oscar, though, by saying orangutan, because I've only heard orangutan. Maybe they saw the movie and they're like, I like what he's saying. Let's actually change the definition. How hard would it be to change like a pronunciation of something?
I don't know. That's a question for Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering, you know what? If they had YouTube in 1997, that would have been the year before this movie, we could have seen a video where they did the correct pronunciation of orangutan. And if they just said, this is the correct pronunciation, orangutan, then we know Joaquin Phoenix changed the pronunciation single-handedly, you know, or at least doubled it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But Blue Man Group, or actually Avatar with the Fonz would be great. We'd have the Blue Man Group.
And Ralph Malph.
Yeah, and they could all stop and like have the drum circle, because one of the things I think the Blue Man Group did was they had like, maybe they had trash cans. I don't know. They had some kind of things. Did you ever see this where they're like beating the drums? They have like these drumsticks with like, and you know, I think maybe fireworks aren't coming out. That would be impossible. Not fireworks, not sparks. I think like paint. I don't know. But I'd like that. That I'd go to see. Avatar, but with the Blue Man Group and Happy Days. They're warring factions, but spoiler alert, at the end, they all team up and they play the drums that are maybe trash cans or some sort.
That would be a great ending.
Yeah, we're just coming up with all kinds of things on here. I really hope that if any of this gets produced, we get a little taste. You know what I mean?
Yeah, at least like 90%.
Yeah, we don't need much. I mean, 98, 99.9999. But yeah, the Fonz and the orangutan. Let's rank what we'd like to see first, before we jump into the episode from what we've come up with. One, it's got to be the Fonz and the orangutan.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's got to be number one.
That's an instant moneymaker. I don't care what streaming service does it or movie. Which would you rather see? I think I'd rather see a series. I'd like to see a lot.
Yeah, they would have to make many movies of that.
Yeah.
With the Fonz and the orangutan.
Yes.
And here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure all of those movies would beat Avatar in the box office by just billions or trillions even.
Yeah. Now, Avatar was kind of going back. We'll come back here, but I mentioned, like, is Avatar the biggest movie ever as far as gross? But you really have to take that with a grain of salt because movie tickets are, I don't know, like, I think $300 nowadays. So beating Star Wars, like Star Wars was the biggest one, and I think it was like 20 cents when Star Wars came out. So, I mean, of course, if you have a $300 movie ticket, you're going to make more money than a 20-cent movie ticket, you know?
Yeah. But even if the Fonz and the orangutan was 20 cents, that would still beat Avatar, I think.
I think you're right. Here's my challenge. Make the movie with the Fonz and the orangutan 20 cents. And I still think it will beat a $300 per ticket movie.
Yeah.
Because people will be you'll have repeat visitors. You'll have the movie theaters just swamped.
Yeah, the movie theaters would make so much money.
Yeah. Hey, movie theater exhibitors, listen up. Invite us to, I don't know if there's a CinemaCon. I feel like there's something, not Comic-Con, but I feel like there's something where like movie theater owners meet and they discuss these things. I feel like if we could get on the panel there and we pitch this and we pitch our 20-cent movie ticket idea, they'd be like, hold on a second. Because think of the publicity you'd get. You can't even buy that publicity, a 20-cent movie ticket. You know?
And everybody would be like, oh, it's 20 cents. I got to go anyways. And it's the Fonz and the orangutan.
Yeah. And then so the 20 cents gets you in the door. You get all that free publicity about 20-cent movie. And then the Fonz and the orangutan, the quality of that gives you the repeat customers, you know. Then wait, maybe you pull the rug out and you're like, hey, you want to see this again? It's $875 a ticket. And then people are like, I gotta see this again. It's the Fonz and the orangutan.
Imagine the ratings it would get on IMDb.
Yeah, it would be. What's the highest rating on IMDb?
I feel like it was one of the Breaking Bad episodes, oddly enough. Ozymandias. I hope I said that right. And it used to be a 10, but then people started making it 1 stars or whatever because they started review bombing it. So.
Oh, wait. So it was like a 10, but then people were getting mad. So they were like, when you say review bombing, do you mean that they were trying to bring the rating down?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. That's always something with something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there was a movie, I think like 10 years ago. I think it was called Lady Bird. And like it had 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. And everyone's like, 100%, 100%. Then like this one reviewer gave it like a 4 out of 5 or so, brought it down to like 98. And people were so angry. They're like, this reviewer made it 98%. This is 100% movie. You know what I mean? So like, you never really know with these things. Somebody's going to always do something.
Yeah. But I think with this movie, no one would do anything.
Yeah. Anyone that would dare to bring down the Fonz and an orangutan really has no soul. I think I'd go and say that.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, I gotta say the same. I mean, like, seriously.
Yeah, you want to get some publicity and you want to take it out on the Fonz and an orangutan team? That just isn't right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, you ready to talk about the episode?
Yes.
All right. So, the skin game. The skin game was definitely not them all getting out a Sharpie. Do you think they had Sharpies, actually, now that I think about it, in the 50s?
I don't know. They might have had, like, some kind of markers.
They probably had
I know
markers.
that they had, I don't know if it was in the 1700s, but, like, when they had the feather and then the ink and then they'd write with it. But I'm not really sure. That's just a guess.
I feel like in the 1950s, they would have had something in between, like, the 1700s feather and the dipping in the ink and a Sharpie. You know what I mean? There was like something in the middle. Like if you did a Venn diagram, let's say, in the middle would be whatever they had in the 50s.
Yeah.
Which I bet like in the 1950s, a marker like had the most toxic fumes and things. Like if you put on your skin, you'd probably get a rash. Don't you think?
Yeah.
So like that could have also been part of the episode, is like they're drawing tic-tac-toe on their arms, and then like they get a horrible rash and they have to get the doctor that makes house calls with his big bag coming over. Because I don't think they had like, what if they checked for stuff like that in the 50s?
I would say Howard would probably play the game somehow, or
Yeah.
maybe they'd try and play it on Howard, and then he'd get a rash since he's always like somehow always getting in like a bad condition of some sort.
Yes, which we're about to talk about.
Yeah.
When we get there. We will get there, we promise. But yeah, and I think too, then what might happen after that? So that's like one episode. Maybe it's a two-parter. We haven't had a two-parter Happy Days yet. But part 2 would be that Richie would have to take over the hardware store again because Howard has this bad rash and he's laid up in the hospital. You think maybe he'd get that guy from whatever episode? I've lost track. I don't know what it's going to be like if we get to 254, because this is the 8th episode and they're all running together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but you think he'd get that guy that had the extra drawstring as his hospital mate again if he had to go for getting a rash from a marker that, you know?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure.
It's definitely possible.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump into it. It was not that. The skin game was what I thought it was, which we're about to describe right now, which again, 1950s, 1974 show.
Family show, by the way.
Yeah, family show, 1974. I would assume we're still in. We haven't looked because, again, trying to keep everything a surprise, but 8 episodes, and it's the first season. I seriously doubt it would jump to a new year. 1974 family show set in the 1950s. Crazy. Yeah. So we go through the main title, still Rock Around the Clock, still everything else. But one thing that we both kind of talked about, that might actually be Ralph Malph that is trying to make time with the girl, and then he falls out, and Potsie and Richie laugh.
I could maybe see the haircut. It's like, we just got to see his face because we can't really see it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, his face kind of did look like Ralph Malph. Now, here's the thing. If it is Ralph Malph, that's really creepy that they decided to park their car next to him with his date, you know?
Yeah.
If it isn't, it's one thing. It's like, oh, I'm with this random guy. You know, I'm wherever they're. I'm guessing a drive-in movie. They don't really say, but it's one thing if it's just, oh, we're just parked next to this couple, whatever. But like if they seemingly parked next to Ralph Malph while he's trying to make time with a lady and they're watching him, that's really disturbing.
Yeah, and it's like, how did they know to find him there?
Yeah, you're wondering that if like Ralph Malph, maybe he tried to climb up the second story again and couldn't find his way down, and he's like, hey guys, I got a date tonight at the drive-in movie picture show, so it's going to be great. And then they're like, hey, we should go and watch Ralph Malph. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of disturbing. And Richie is the one that knew that girl ate tuna fish sandwiches, so I don't know about this Richie Cunningham.
Yeah, Richie, he is kind of a character, I must say.
Yeah, I thought he was like this clean-cut guy from the 1950s, which in 8 episodes so far, he certainly does not seem to be.
I thought he was going to be so innocent, you know? He gets straight A's and whatnot.
Yeah.
And he just, like, he doesn't want to do anything wrong.
Yeah.
But he's definitely made some turns.
Yeah, I mean, among everything else, we don't want to delve into it now, probably, but among everything else, the fact that he got drunk and left with a girl that jumped out of a cake and left his best friend who was passed out drunk, like that alone, that's just one episode, you know?
Yeah.
So the opening credits are over. Ralph Malph's hot rod pulls into Arnold's. There's seemingly like 30 people in that car, isn't there?
Yeah, it's like a clown car.
Yeah, they're all just coming out of the car one at a time, not knowing how they fit in that thing. It is kind of a big car, but it doesn't seem like it would fit the number of people. They don't say where they're coming from. That would be interesting, but they are in the Arnold's parking lot. They walk past the waitress that quit, who seemingly has a huge role. I don't even remember her, and we've seen her so much and seen her talk a lot.
Yeah, we still don't know her name. We just know her as the one that quit.
Yeah, we'll just refer to her as the one that quit until either we forgot to take notes again. Oh, man. But they might have said it, but we'll remember next time in case they did. But we'll just refer to her as the waitress that quit because that's how we know her from one of the episodes. Again, they all ran together. I'm not sure which one it is. Please check out the earlier episodes we did, though. And she says something to them, some kind of joke about maybe ordering something, but I didn't hear it. Did you?
No.
Okay, so there we are. They go inside and they're all crowded around a table. Here's one thing that I noticed. Ralph, Malph, and Richie were both wearing like white undershirts, which maybe I feel like that was the style of the 1950s, if I'm not mistaken. But they're like, wear these white undershirts.
When they got out of the car, wasn't Ralph Malph like, oh yeah, I went to the strip club?
Oh, yeah. Thank you for remembering an important plot point that I just totally forgot. Yeah, as they're walking in, like it's kind of overdubbed. It's like one of those 1970s things where like they're walking and no one looks like they're talking, but you hear like a voice that was clearly dubbed in and is like, yeah, I just got back from the strip club. Exactly. Yeah, before the thing with the waitress transpires, Ralph Malph informs them he went to the strip club.
Family show, by the way.
Yeah,
and this is how we're introduced to the episode, too.
That's what I was going to say. We're already off to a great start. So then we go in, and then they're all gathered around, and Richie and Ralph Malph are wearing the white T-shirts that were hugely popular, apparently, in the day. And Ralph Malph is telling the story, this very explicit story, if you will, about, was her name Bubbles McCall?
Something like that.
I know it's Bubbles. I'm pretty sure it was McCall, but it was Bubbles. How Bubbles is really just stripping a ticket. And in the middle of this, the waitress that quit comes over and is like, hey, Richie, your mom's on the phone. And I'm thinking, his mom's on the phone.
Yeah,
What?
what?
This is like a location. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Ralph Malph, he's really getting down to the wire. He's saying stuff like, man, she took off that white glove and she took everything off. And Richie does not want to leave. He's like, can you just tell my mom to hold on a second? I need to hear all this.
Yeah, and the waitress is like, I'm not an answering service. I got some kind of dish that was melting, and it's melting all over her hand. And I'm thinking, like, how far is the kitchen to where she is? How do you have ice cream melt while you're walking? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like inside a shop. Has she been holding on to it for 20 minutes?
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, exactly.
It must have been a hot summer day for them.
Yeah, inside. Did Arnold not, or whoever is the proprietor, we don't know yet of Arnold's, did he not pay the electric bill? But I guess if he didn't pay the electric bill, they wouldn't be able to cook. Although I don't know.
Or there wouldn't be any lights on.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, were there any hot dishes? That could be, but yeah, there were lights. So, and there was a phone. So yeah, Ralph Malph, like you said, is getting totally into it. And Richie has to go talk to his mom, who is on a payphone. So I guess back in the 1950s, if you knew where your children's were, you can just call the payphone, I guess, and just talk to your kids.
And man, it's just like he goes over to the phone and he's like, Mom, can you be quick? I don't remember what he said, but I know he was saying like to be quick.
Yeah.
And it sounded like, was he getting groceries or something?
Yeah, she was giving him a grocery list, I guess, while he was out. But here's what I'm wondering. Is Ralph Malph going to drive those 90 people in this hot rod for Richie to go get these groceries?
Yeah.
That's how he got there. Does she not know how he got there? Does she think that, like, he has his own car? You know?
I wonder if Richie's parents knows about Ralph Malph, because I know they know about the Fonz for sure.
Yeah, they know about the Fonz, like you said, and they know about Potsie because Potsie's been there. But yeah, I don't think we've never at least seen Ralph Malph at the Cunningham home yet. So yeah, interesting. So he's talking to his mom, and his mom's giving him this grocery list, and she says like TP, and we don't hear him, but he's like repeating everything. He's like TP. He's like, what's TP? And she's like toilet paper, and he's like, you can say toilet paper over the phones. So I wonder if like Marion was so paranoid in the 50s to like say toilet paper over the phone, like maybe one of the operators is still listening and thinking that they're like uncouth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he hangs up And he goes back, and I think wasn't the table dispersing?
Yeah.
And Potsie's like, man, you should have heard everything that happened. And Richie's like, well, tell me. And Potsie's like, oh, you got to hear from Ralph Malph, who like feel like Ralph Malph would tell him again, maybe, you know?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, well, I think Ralph Malph was already kind of like going away. I don't know, though.
But then if that's a good point. If he was going away, where's their ride?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, wait. They're just going to leave him
Yeah,
there?
so Ralph Malph is kind of being like Richie and just leaving everybody there, apparently. So yeah, they're talking about this. And then is that when they decide they have to see it for themselves, or was there something else? Do you remember?
I can't remember, but I gotta say this. I'm sure it's probably a different story with Ralph Malph because he's got like all those 90 people in
Yeah.
that car. So it's kind of hard to notice that like 2 people are missing out of 90.
Do you,
So
yeah, do you think it was like a head count like Home Alone? Remember how in Home Alone she left her child
yeah.
at the, which like really, I mean, if you really think about that now, it's wow. But like, is that what Ralph Malph did where he's like, all right, we got this guy, we got that guy, we got this. Oh yeah, 80. I have 90 people that like he miscounts. He's like, I got 90 people. Let's go. And then like, as he's driving and I guess dropping all these people off, he's like, wait, where's Richie and Potsie?
I wonder if that happened.
Yeah, it must have. It must have been something very similar to that. So
I really wonder how they got home, if Ralph Malph went back and picked them up, or like
Yeah.
what happened.
Yeah, do you think Ralph Malph would apologize for leaving them? I don't think he would. What do you think?
No, I don't think he'd really care.
Yeah, he'd probably make some kind of joke.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
funny. I'm funny.
Yeah, exactly. I'm funny. Hey, it was a joke. I left you guys here. Something to that effect. I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're walking out of Arnold's, if I'm not mistaken, probably looking for Ralph Malph. But the important part is they decide they want to go, and Potsie's like, hey, we know the Fonz. The Fonz can get us fake IDs. They're going to find the Fonz to get fake IDs. We cut to the Cunningham house. There is a doorbell or a knock on the door. I really can't remember. Again, have to take notes. And there are 3 people outside the door for Richie. 1 is Potsie, of course. 2 is Fonzie, who, of course, you know, which I think he's wearing the white, again, windbreaker type jacket, not the leather jacket yet, but yes. And one of Fonzie's friends, whose name is...
Okay. Before I say their name,
Yes.
Bag has some competition.
Okay.
His name, the guy that we are introduced to, is Pockets.
Yes. Pockets comes in. Pockets looks like he's at least in his late 30s.
Yeah.
He's got on, again, like, I still feel like Fonzie's older than them. He might not be. Maybe he's just cool and he just seems different, but Pockets is definitely older, you know?
With the jacket Pockets was wearing, too, it looked like he was like a drug dealer.
Yeah, he had on a trench coat. I think that might have been the whole thing, is like he had on a trench coat, because we're going to talk about what was in his trench coat once we get there. And then I also noticed he had on like a Yankees. It looked like a Yankees cap, but it looked like kind of like, I didn't even know that they had a different Yankees cap. You know what I mean? It didn't look like the Yankees cap of today, which is really the only Yankees cap I thought they had. Like the N and the Y looked a little different, you know?
Yeah.
But I always thought that they just had the exact same logo, but maybe they retooled it since the 1950s. So he comes in with the Yankees cap in Milwaukee. So I guess Pockets is still a Yankees fan. I'm trying to think in Milwaukee in like the 1950s. Would that be the Milwaukee Braves? Did they even have anything yet? Again, I don't know. But they did have the Pittsburgh Pirates going back to like in the 1800s. I wondered if they had it in the 1950s, and yet they had it all the way back in the 1800s. So
Yeah.
they come in, they go up to Richie's room. Pockets is setting up shop. He opens his trench coat, like you mentioned. Inside his trench coat are all kinds of things. Rubber stamps, report cards. If you want some forgery in the 1950s Milwaukee area, Pockets seems to be your guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Pockets is setting up shop, and then Richie says, is this going to look real? And Pockets, being the professional he is, gets pissed. He starts packing up, getting ready to leave, that his integrity would be questioned, and Fonzie's, and then they're like, oh, we're so sorry. And Fonzie's like, hey, they apologize. And he decides to get his stuff back up.
Yeah, the Pockets does not say anything really. There's one moment where he does,
Yeah.
but the whole time really he's like silent, and you kind of have to listen to the Fonz to know like what is going on with Pockets.
I feel like, right up to the point where we're at, he still hasn't said anything yet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Fonzie's explaining, apologizing for his idiot friends that is always getting Fonzie in trouble. They're getting Fonzie in trouble with the demons. They're getting Fonzie in trouble with Pockets. Getting Fonzie roped into a drag race where he almost gets arrested and he leaves the scene of a crime and somehow doesn't get anything but I don't even think he got a slap on the wrist, And also Richie not helping him on this test. I'm surprised Fonzie hasn't delivered a brutal beatdown to those two by now. But yeah, so Pockets is making something for Potsie, making him like 18, I guess, 18, because I guess so that kind of answers one of our questions. I guess to get into a strip club in Milwaukee in the 1950s, it was 18 because they're making him 18. So he gets his 18 thing. And then you mentioned in the very first episode if there were locks on the doors in the 1950s. Apparently not, because Marion bursts in with a giant tray of cookies and milk, which when I see Fonzie and Pockets, the first thing I think of is milk and cookies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like even Fonzie, like, does Marion really think that the Fonz would enjoy milk and cookies?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Fonz would be too cool for that.
Yeah, I wouldn't think of milk and cookies first for the Fonz. I mean, I don't know what you would give them, but I probably would shy away from the milk and cookies. I mean, with Richie and Potsie, it's one thing, but when you're bringing Pockets and Fonz into the equation, you probably want to hold off on the milk and cookies. And as she does this, Pockets jumps over his forgery equipment, I guess you could say, for lack of better words. And he's like hovered over, and Marion's like, what's the matter with him? And Fozzie's like, oh, he's got the hiccups. So he's like just trying to hide everything as Marion walks in, and then they're like, oh, okay. And then she leaves, and she leaves the milky cookies up there.
Like, there she goes.
Yeah, she leaves. Then about 5 seconds later, as Pockets tries to continue his forgery, she opens the door and bursts in and goes, boo, because she thinks that is going to scare Pockets' hiccups away. And I think Pockets hiccups the first time too, right? That's the first thing we hear from Pockets to kind of keep up this charade, if you will, that he has the hiccups. And then Marion explains, she's trying to help Pockets with his hiccups. And then she leaves, and Pockets is very distraught that he almost got twice caught for doing. I don't know if that would have been a misdemeanor and a felony in Milwaukee's of the 1950s.
Let me tell you something. That definitely did scare Pockets.
Yep.
He didn't have any hiccups, but it definitely did scare Pockets.
Yeah, Pockets wasn't scared so much of the boo. He was scared so much as Marion dropping a dime on him, if you will, to the Milwaukee PD about his forgery stuff, I would think,
Yeah.
So Pockets, he doesn't want any of this. However much they're paying him, I don't know, 5 cents or whatever, is not worth it to Pockets, perhaps going to prison. Making these things. So Pockets packs up. Potsie has his thing, but Richie, of course, doesn't have an ID. This all happens before Richie could get his ID. So Fonzie and Pockets split, and Potsie's like, it's not going to be the same without you going to the strip club, Rich. And Richie's like, oh, so you're not going without me? And Potsie's like, no, I'm going to go without you. It just wouldn't be the same without you. What a great friend Potsie is. Okay.
No, honestly, though, that it's understandable because, like, Richie left him to just be blacked out.
Yeah.
And, maybe that's his way of getting back at him,
Yeah, I feel like if you put everything into the prism of what we've seen so far, you're right. It's like the whole thing about him leaving Potsie blacked out drunk at a stag party going home with a lady from the cake. But then you also have Potsie not wanting to intervene when he thinks Richie's going to be pulverized by the fawns last week, remember?
Yeah.
And then you have this. So I know what you mean. Like, really, Potsie can probably do anything at this point because you can't really do worse than leaving your drunk friend at a stag party with no way home, you know?
Yeah.
So I totally understand what you're saying. So he leaves. We cut to the Cunningham dinner table. Who's all at the table? Do you remember?
Well, we got Howard.
Yes.
We got Richie, Joni. We got Marion. And then we have the greatest basketball player of all time. You know him. You love him. The greatest Cunningham to ever live. Better than Cade Cunningham. The one for the Detroit Pistons. Chuck Cunningham.
Yes. Chuck Cunningham was there eating and actually talking. I think this is the most we've ever heard Chuck talk.
Yeah, because, I mean, he was dribbling his basketball just to communicate with Howard, I remember.
And was Howard coughing or was he sneezing? He was doing one or the other, wasn't he?
He was sneezing.
He was sneezing. So Howard seems to be ill yet again. And he's talking about going to a business meeting with somebody. The guy gives him so much business, he has to go even though he's sick, which I would think the guy would understand and not want to get sick. You know what I mean? Like if Howard explained himself like, hey, I'm not really feeling good, I could get you sick, you would think the guy would be like, oh man, that's even better. Thanks for not getting me sick, you know?
Yeah.
But no, Chuck is there eating. He's talking about, I think he's talking about working on his basketball thing for his fans, isn't he?
Yeah,
Something
he was like, all right, I'm trying to make sure that when I'm shooting my free throws, I'm not throwing it underhand and it's overhand.
Yeah, so Chuck is apparently this big basketball player because that's all he's talking about, you know
And
what I
he's
mean?
got all these fans. I mean, I'm his number one fan.
Yeah, they're all not as big as fans as you. Howard is very distraught that I guess Chuck just comes by to get his laundry done and to get a meal, which I think, Howard, you probably need to talk to the writers. I don't think the writers are really writing him a lot of lines, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this happens. Chuck ends up leaving the dinner table and he wants to talk to the family, but the family slowly leaves. And then
he talks to himself and says, so everything's going great, huh, Howard?
Then we cut to outside. Chuck has not left yet. He's shooting baskets. Did you notice he did the grandma shot?
Yeah.
Where he had him between his like, he's still sunk it though. So that's Chuck Cunningham for you.
Let me tell you something too.
Yeah.
This is why he's the greatest basketball player of all time. He did not miss a single shot.
Yeah.
And he might have been at the 3-point line. Who knows?
Yeah, even though they didn't have it back then.
And he made one grandma style.
Yeah, he made one grandma style. That's Chuck Cunningham for you. Richie decides that he's going to ask Chuck to use his ID. So he goes up to Chuck, asks him for a favor, asks if he could use his draft card. So I guess that was his ID, his draft card.
Obviously, Chuck's like asking, what's this for? Is this for a bar? And then Richie's like, no, I wouldn't do anything like that. And then he's like, is this for a strip joint? And then he's like, yeah, kind of.
And then Chuck informs them that he gave it to another one of his friends. So Richie's out of luck. His own brother can't give him his ID. Richie asked for Chuck's ID. Chuck already gave it to somebody else. So Chuck leaves.
Then Potsie comes in. He got a fake ID for Richie. And Richie is like looking at this fake ID. He thinks it all looks great. And then he sees the age and he's like, 25? I don't look 25.
Yeah.
And then Potsie's saying stuff like, oh, well, like if you get like a tie or something, you'd probably look fine. You'd probably look 25.
Yeah, and the great thing about it is that Potsie's ID says he's 18 and Richie says 25. Again, I don't know much about the 50s, but I would probably think 18-year-olds and 25-year-olds weren't hanging out, going to the strip clubs together. I could be wrong, but to me, that would have seemed a little suspicious had I been the ID checker, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it also said something like Swavowski or something, right? It was like something. So Richie does have an ID. Did they ever even say where Potsie got it?
I don't remember, actually.
Yeah, I don't think they did, which kind of is a question I would have had. Like, how did Potsie get it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, was maybe was there a wallet of Mr. Savinsky on the side of the road, and Potsie just did some theft. And Potsie's already in deep with having a fake ID, but having that. So they have their fake IDs.
Also, when he saw it was 25, he just kept on going, 25? 25? And then Marion comes in, and she's like, 25 what, hun? And he's like, 25 years that you and Dad have been married. And then she's like, well, that was very considerate of you of trying to remember how long we've been married, but we've only been married for 21 years.
At least he threw her off the scent. You know what I mean? So yeah. So they have their fake IDs. We're on the street. They're passing this lighted theater. That's not where they're going. They're going to Eddie's Pink Palace. That's the name of the strip club. I'm just going to leave that there. And again, network television, 1974 is supposed to be the 50s.
Family show, by the way.
Yeah, so they're outside of the establishment. I'm only going to say that once, the name of that place. And they go inside, and there's two guys. Oh, before we do this, I did want to mention one of the 90 people that Ralph Malph had in his car was that guy from the main credits. Remember that had the crew cut that's seemingly combing his hair with pops?
Yeah.
So again, I don't know. I thought that was the only time we were going to see him, and they just found a guy with the crew cut. But maybe like he was there that day, and they're like, hey, we need that guy to pick up. We got 90 people, and we're running out of extras here.
They need to give him a name like Cut.
Yeah. They need a yeah. Oh, I like that. Cut. That needs to be the alternative Happy Days. Yes. So they go inside of the strip club establishment, back to this, and the bouncer, I guess you'll call him, like the bouncer's wearing a tuxedo, and there's like two guys, and like the bouncer's to them, he's like, these are fake IDs. I can spot a fake ID a mile away. Get out of here, you two. You're underage. So he's kicking them out. This other kind of bigger guy in a tuxedo comes out, and he's like, hey, can I do this? I don't know if like he's in training or what's going on. So the guy's like, oh yeah, I could use a break. So this taller guy in a tuxedo takes over for the kind of not like small, but like smaller than him guy. And his first customers are Richie and Potsie.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, so Richie shows him his ID, and Richie's sweating bullets over here because, the bouncer's going to see he's clearly not 25, but the bouncer's like, yeah, come on in, buddy. And then Richie's so nervous he forgets to get his ID, and then the guy's like, hey, you, and then Richie's like, oh, and then the bouncer's like, you forgot your ID? He gives him his ID back. Then Potsie thinks, well, that was the worst idea ever. Of course, I'm getting in. The bouncer gives Potsie a hard time. He's like, you're 18. When's your birthday? And Potsie's like, 1938. And the guy's like, close enough.
You think it'd be like, it needs to be on spot, but he's like, nope.
Yeah. So let's just do some math here. 1938, 18, that would have been 1956. But if it was close enough, so like, here's what I'm wondering. Then it's got to be kind of the mid to late 50s, right? Because if it was 1950, the ID would say he's 12, or he would have just said he was 12.
Yeah.
Unless Potsie just did some bad math, which is entirely possible. Yeah. So I don't know. We don't know what year it is still. We know it's the 1950s. I mean, I guess really, I don't even know it's the 1950s. Do we? They never said, like, I mean, I guess I'm assuming. This could have been a 1974 show. I don't know. Anyways, back to it. They go and they sit at their table. There's a girl dancing who looks so uninterested in what she's doing. And the thing that I noticed is, besides the fact we forgot to mention that Richie and Potsie are wearing like suits, which I wonder in the strip establishments nowadays, I would seriously doubt that the patrons wear suits. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is just like, suits, seriously? Like, they're acting like that they're going to like the red carpet or something.
Yeah, it was a very like upper establishment, which I Again, they could still have places like this, but so they're at like a table with like this red tablecloth and like these nice lights. Like it looks like a really nice place, you know?
Yeah.
And some of the clientele, there's like a man and a woman behind them. And I'm like, huh, like, is this their date? Going to the strip joint? Then there's like two girls that are like making eyes at Potsie and Richie, and Potsie's like, don't look at him. We'll have to buy him a $5 glass of champagne, which like, I guess like $5 glass of champagne, like in the 50s or 1974, whenever this takes place, was like $100. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
like $5. So yeah, so that also is weird. Like, wait, there's ladies sitting together in the strip club. Like, what's going on here?
And then don't they get offered drinks or they're not
Well,
even offered. They have to get drinks.
They have to. Yeah, exactly. They have to get drinks. The waiter comes up, and doesn't he say something like, hey, what do you want to drink? And they're like, we're fine. And he's like, no, I'm not asking you. You got to buy 2 drinks. So they get a beer, but he brings back 4 beers, I guess, to keep up the 2-drink minimum for each. So they even mention themselves like, wow, this girl looks really uninterested that's dancing. Then they hear this really loud sneeze that sounds familiar to Richie. Richie's like, wait a minute. I know that sneeze anywhere. So the sickly Howard apparently is here at the strip club.
He's having his business meeting there.
Yeah, they turn around and I think they see Howard, who if I remember correctly, looks miserable. Like he's just sneezing all over the place. And the guy that he's with is like smiling, which like, again, like, I don't care where I am. If I'm sitting next to a guy that's sneezing, I'm just jetting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's having a good time here at the strip club. Then the girl doesn't end up taking anything off, which thank God it is a network family show in the 1970s. She leaves, and then Richie's like, she didn't even take anything off. And Potsie's like, yeah, they got to leave it all for Bubbles. So then the MC or somebody comes out. Here's what I'm wondering. How are all these people getting paid? This seems like a big production.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is like a huge production at this strip club. They're not just playing music and sending the girls out there. There's like MCs, there's waiters, there's multiple doormen, and
it's the main event.
Yes, they say the main event, Bubbles. And Bubbles, she's got on these really long, kind of arm-length gloves. She starts taking the gloves off. I think Potsie's having the time of his life. She puts one of the gloves on Richie.
Yeah, Potsie, man, he is just, I don't think I've ever seen him so happy.
Yeah, he is completely happy. Richie's terrified because his dad is sneezing all over the place in the back, and he's got this glove on him. So he's really not having the time that I guess he thought he would have. He's worried about his dad seeing him. Everybody's cheering that he got the glove on him. I don't know why. That just seems...
What I love about this scene is just like Potsie is just astounded by this lady. And then Richie, he is just so nervous that his dad's gonna see him or something.
Yeah.
Like he's just trying to get out of this place without being seen by his dad. And I gotta say, it's kind of hard now to not be seen by your dad, considering you just got the performer's glove put on you.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, like no matter where you sat in that place, I mean, it wasn't like in an arena. It was probably like about 4 rows. So, like, if you're watching the performer, and I would imagine he would be in between all of his sneezes, you know, he's got to see that. Oh, the glove just, wait, that looks like my son. You know what I mean? Like, you would think he would see that immediately. So she puts the glove on him. Richie's terrified. And then doesn't she about 30 seconds later leave and that's it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she leaves and that's it. So Ralph Malph was apparently not telling the truth. She did not strip down. And again, thank God, considering this is a network family show. But even if it weren't, she does not strip down, as Ralph Malph said that she did.
The only thing that he was right about was taking off the white gloves.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
Yeah. Did he say that?
Yeah. I remember him saying, man, she took off these white gloves and she took everything off.
Yeah, that must have been like right before Richie left. Then they're leaving and they're kind of disappointed that Ralph Malph lied to them. And then Richie's concerned for 2 reasons. One, well, besides the fact that she didn't take anything off. One, he's concerned that his dad saw him. And then 2, he's like, wait a minute. why was my dad at the strip club? And then Potsie's like, hey, we were also at the strip club, so we're like the same. And then Richie tries to explain to Potsie, well, no, it's actually not the same. My father is a married man, family man, and we are just two dumb kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We cut to the Cunningham house. Howard, the television is on. Howard's got this towel wrapped around his head, and he's like going over like this boiling. I don't know how this pot was steaming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, did he boil it for a long time and then just take it off and the steam is still going? Like, how did this? Because it looked like a pot. It didn't look like a steamer. So I have no idea how they did this in the 1950s. It didn't look like one of the steamers that you would, use nowadays. But he's like completely miserable as he's trying to steam everything out.
Also, you think with like a blanket and all the steam and whatnot,
Yeah.
you wouldn't think he'd want to get hot, considering when you're sick, you're normally like pretty hot.
Yeah, so I don't know what Howard's thinking here or what he's doing, too. So Richie comes in, and Howard's like, how did it go today? And Richie's like, oh, okay. It ends up somehow that Howard saw that Richie was at the strip joint with Potsie. And then Richie makes mention, like, what were you doing at the strip club? Does mom know about this? And Howard's like, hey, yeah, of course she knew about it. I tell your mom everything. The guy's a client. Every time I go with him, he buys a bunch of nails. I think he even said, like, he buys a bunch of nails. So, I have to go. And your mom understands that. And then he's like, are you going to tell mom that I went? And he's like, well, I'm not going to tell her that. She's not going to understand that.
So, doesn't he bring out the glove that went on Richie's face? He says, here's a souvenir, and then he brings the white glove that fell on Richie's face. Here is my question. How did he get the glove that fell on Richie's face? Because he was all the way in the back row.
Yeah.
And like Richie and Potsie were all the way at like the front row. So, and there were, I mean, there was quite a bit of people there.
Yeah.
I think someone would have taken that like in the front row or something.
Yeah, you know what? That is a great point because it's like, when they fire those T-shirt cannons, everybody like falls over themselves to get one. So like, you would think this would, I mean, I don't think they had T-shirt. It would be something if they had T-shirt cannons in the 50s, but I seriously doubt it. But
yeah, Cannonhausen.
Yes. So that's an excellent point of how he got it when he was in the back. You feel like someone else would have taken it. Maybe someone was there that knew both Howard and Richie, and they got it. Maybe they're in the front row and they just didn't say anything. And then they're like, hey, your son dropped this. I don't know. That seems pretty outlandish. No more outlandish than Howard being there while he was sick.
I think when he hands the glove to him, he's like, by the way, you're grounded for sort of a week. And I'm like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Sort of?
Yeah.
Wouldn't he just say like, 4 days or something?
Yeah. So Richie gets grounded. And then after he does that, I think it was God Bless America that played on the TV.
I think so.
And then don't they like stand up?
Yeah.
Then we cut to Arnold's parking lot. Potsie and Richie are walking. Richie makes mention of how it was hard to be grounded for a week. I guess, obviously time has elapsed. And then Richie mentions, though, that he watched a lot of wrestling.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, here's what I'm wondering. Like, how often was wrestling back on TV in the 1950s? If he was grounded for a week, if he watched a lot, because I don't think he had a DVR in 1974 or the 1950s or whenever this was supposed to take place. So how could he watch a lot of wrestling unless it was consistently on television?
I have no clue.
Yeah. So anyways, he watched a lot of wrestling. Then a guy comes up to him and doesn't he like ask about Bubbles McCall?
Yeah, they do. And then I believe Potsie says, man, they were so great, they took everything off.
Yeah, so Potsie's continuing the lying chain that Ralph Malph started to get them, I guess, to try and make this guy get pockets to come over and sell him a fake ID. But yeah, so Potsie continues the lie. He lies to this guy about Bubbles McCall. And
I believe Fonzie saw it happen too.
Oh, yeah. And then after they do that, Fonzie comes over and doesn't he say something like, you can't go wrong with Bull? Something to that effect, right?
Yeah.
And then Fonzie decides that would be great to write on the bathroom wall.
Here's what I gotta say. I wonder if the waitress that quit, or
Yeah.
like someone in Arnold's. I'm guessing the waitress that quit would probably see it. I wonder if anyone in Arnold's is just wondering, like, who's writing these things on the bathroom wall?
I know, yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Like, do they know? And everybody seems to know it's Fonzie. So isn't there someone that's gonna kind of narc him out and say, like, oh man, that's Fonzie? You know?
I don't think anyone would do that to Fonzie.
I mean, you would hope not, but
Yeah.
I mean, you never know about people. Though in the 1950s, it could have been different. But
don't-
yeah,
I don't even think Moose would do that.
yeah, probably not. I wonder if the person that got the melted ice cream would do that. Like, if was Fonzie a part of? No, I don't even think Fonzie was there. It could have been more of a Ralph Malph problem. No, it was technically a Richie problem because he was trying to talk to the waitress that quits to get her to get back on the phone, and she was like, "Oh, I got this melted ice cream."
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if they know it's Fonzie. That is an interesting question. I mean, somebody that's cleans the restrooms got to see all this writing, and then like, do they wash it off? You know, or do they just leave it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So, that was the episode, The Skin Game, Season 1, Episode 8. Did we miss anything at all?
I don't think so.
All right. Are there any thoughts or anything before we wrap this up?
Not that I can think of.
Oh, do we need to do Horrible Howard or Helpful Howard?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So, Horrible Howard, Helpful Howard. This is kind of rough for me because I kind of think Horrible Howard that he would go and get somebody potentially sick just for his own gain of selling more nails. But he was also kind of helpful. He did somehow get the glove for Richie as a souvenir. He did make Richie face the consequences. He could have technically gotten up and grabbed Richie and Potsie by the gruffs of their neck and like tossed them out since he knew he was there. You know what I mean? But he chose not to do that. I don't know if he could have done that to Potsie. Probably in the 1950s, he probably could have beat Potsie up. All right. And then you could also make the case he's going to a strip club when he's a family man. I'm going to say Horrible Howard. Here's only why. Only because he could have got that man sick. Everything else, he told his wife. She knew he was going there. You know, I'm going to just say horrible only because of the fact he could have got that man sick.
That is understandable, but I'm going to say this, right?
Yes.
He was kind of helpful in this episode.
Yeah.
But I'm going to call him Horrible Howard, and here's why.
Yes.
One, he could have gotten that guy sick.
Yeah.
Second, he's going to a strip club. I know a man's got to do what a man's got to do.
Yeah.
But, like, you think that he'd, like, I don't know why he'd be selling nails at a strip club.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of the weirdest thing.
I wonder where he takes his other clients.
Yeah.
Like, if this guy likes to go to the strip club, like the hammer guy, where does he take the hammer guy to?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, does the hammer guy, like, does he just wine and dine all of his clients? Huh.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like, wouldn't it be, like, losing money if you were just trying to, like, wine and dine your clients?
Well, here's the thing. Is the nail guy, like, is it his treat? Who's the one that is trying to get people to give him? He's the one that's trying to get the supplies. So I feel like he'd be the one that, I don't know, you know, I don't know the business. I don't like to see Howard's business plan. Yeah, I don't know Howard's business plan. I don't know who's doing the whining and who's doing the dining. Like, if I know they're schmoozing, but who's the one paying for all this?
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. So we both say Horrible Howard. All right. So that was episode 8 of season 1, The Skin Game. Quite an episode. So before we wrap up, I got to ask, do you want to watch another episode?
There was a strip club and everything. That was kind of a lot. Oof. Screw it. Yes.
All right. Again, I never know. And some of these episodes do get a little more, worrisome might be the word about whether this will continue. So that's really good. So Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. If you would please spread the word, if you would like, subscribe, tell everyone you know, unless you did not enjoy this. In that case, please keep it to yourself. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
What's Happy Days?